back to the NetherKast. All right, episode 19. Almost there to episode 20. It's hard to believe that we've been doing this for 19 weeks, but we have. We've gotten this far. How do you guys feel about this? Huh?
Excited for episode 20?
Yeah, the big 20.
I am amazed people still continue to tolerate and listen to us.
Right?
Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
The show can smoke, but it still can't drink.
They like us. They really like us.
We haven't had that ninja in the game yet, Razor. We need to have the alcoholic ninja show up.
That's what Tremor's all about.
Or Reptile.
Tremors just has
Reptile has a lot of reasons to drink.
Glugor, the chugging ninja. This will be Reptile's new name.
But I am Black Cyborg, in case you guys didn't know and you're just tuning in for the first time. I have with me, as always, temporary username, Shadowloo, and Razor's Edge. And this week, we will be covering both chapters of the latest comic that just got released, chapters 8 and 9. We covered chapter 7 last week, so we'll give you a spoiler warning before we get into that. And then I think we're going to talk about some of the levels revealed in the Katana trailer, the connections or whatever that, Katana connection or character connection. I wonder if they're going to do more of those, do you think?
It seems like the first of the series to me, definitely.
There's so much material because you can have Tom Brady in there talking about Sub-Zero, even though he's totally not a loyalist. He counterpicked with Kung Lao all the time. But you could have I don't know, Sonic Fox and Melina. Well, he counterpicks with Sonya too. Shit, everyone's counterpicking right now. You can't do CD. It might work. Yeah, no, maybe. We'll see.
Stop your counterpicking. But yeah.
Loyalist out there. Well, yeah, go on.
And then we got a nice Rain retrospective for our character retrospective at the end of this episode, since he's been a little bit, he's been kind of the talk of the town lately due to something that happened in the comics, got, him back in the spotlight, so to speak. I guess that's actually a pun. Hey. Get it?
See what you did there.
Yeah? Good.
Too soon,
Good.
bro.
Yeah.
The pun burns. Quite literally. Quite literally.
Dude, he should have had that SPF 5,000. But anyways, let's get into the comics. So this is your spoiler warning. So look for the
Your pun was a spoiler. It's a little late.
No, I didn't say anything.
All we said was it's
sunny day.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
sunny days.
All right. I'm gonna keep it vague. Hope that saves somebody.
I'm just saying he gets a nasty sunburn, and he should have been wearing some sunscreen and some sunglasses because it's bad for your eyes.
For all that our esteemed listeners know, Rain has a really good day in the comic. Point in fact, he could be on fire today.
Let's just say if he was playing NBA Jam, he's on fire!
Ugly shot.
You guys done?
I think so. I think I've gotten that out of me.
Okay, we'll get
to all the audience members with the ability for deduction. We're sorry.
Don't worry, we'll get into some more Rain later. Sorry, I had to get that one in.
We love him, folks. We really do.
You're killing me, Smalls. All right, we're good. Anyways, spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Look for the show notes to skip ahead, which will be most of our show, so hopefully you've picked up the comics or don't care to read them yourselves first. But either way, let's get into this. So let's just switch off who does what chapter. So Shadowloo, why don't you take us through chapter 8?
All right. So, as I recall, when last we left off, Kotal was cutting his chest with a dagger and swearing vengeance on Goro. So, we now got to the Golden Desert once more, becoming quite a prominent location for this comic. Almost makes me happy to see a lesser-known stage getting some prominence. So, we have Goro addressing his troops with these being Red Dragon members. And he's got Rain backing him up and looking all shady in the background. He's telling them that Movado is reporting from the capital. Kotal Khan is riding there to meet us, and he's alone. So, Goro here with his plan, as Reiko said that things would go through. Kotal is riding in on a large dinosaur thing. I love how Outworld is full of these things that they didn't forget, you know?
Yeah.
It's been such a long time since we saw those pterodactyls in the background of the combat tomb, and they're just they're straight filling it full of velociraptors and shite. It's wonderful. So yeah, Kotal riding in, and Goro's like, when he arrives, he will die as his father did, at my hands. So, off to the side, we've got Reiko and Melina talking things through. Melina looking pretty good in her new outfit once more. And she says, with Kotal's passing, the condom of Outworld will be mine. To this, Reiko replies that there's only one problem, Goro himself. And he's telling her that he's going to use Melina's claim to the throne as grounds to overthrow Kotal, and then he will probably kill her to seize the throne for himself. Melina seems a bit hesitant to believe this, but, Reiko was like, I've never trusted him. He betrayed Kotal as Kotal once betrayed Melina. Melina removes her veil, says she'll eat his face, puts it back on. Don't even know why they bothered there.
She did that in the game all the time.
She just takes it off for like seconds at a time. Maybe her lack of lips
I don't know
really
why she
need to
wears
breathe.
the thing. She's obviously got nothing to hide.
Everyone knows at this point,
Made sense in the old timeline. She was ashamed of it, but now I got nothing for you.
So, Reiko's the only one she trusts, and he humbly serves her, the true heir, and he decides to let Goro face Kotal alone. And we cut to where Goro is waiting for his prey in the Golden Desert, as Reiko says that if either traitor survives this day, he'll kill them himself. And Rain backs up her thoughts here behind Goro as usual. He'd be mad to face us alone. And, Goro's all happy that Kotal's coming in to, take him on one-handedly. So Goro gives the orders. Tells Rain to kill the sun and make him powerless. And Rain does as Goro wishes. Charges up, sends a huge lightning bolt off to the sky. Kotal sees this from quite a distance, rendering the sky dark and ominous. And Kotal says, up the stair path to the fire's edge, I pray the sky to scorch the land. And raising the dagger in the air as he does, this giant energy blast comes down from the sky and immolates everyone's favorite purple ninja, who cries out with an E-I! That word exactly, folks. There's 4 E's and 3 I's in there.
The manliest of screams.
He is burning.
It's fitting, though. I think that fits him for some reason.
I, too, think that Rain probably does scream like a little girl, and I like the guy.
That's a shame.
Can I ask a question real quick? What exactly are Rain's powers? Because I always thought he had control over water, but...
Well, he makes storm clouds by controlling the moisture, you see.
Right. And then he also has lightning bolts.
Well, yeah, the thunder comes from the clouds he makes.
Pretty much he's like Raiden
Makes
Jr. with
scientific
more
sense
power
if you
over
think
water.
about it.
Yeah,
Clouds are made of water.
to a degree. Yeah.
Lightning comes from clouds, so...
But how does he control where the lightning goes?
Well, he gets
Magic?
He gets lucky.
He makes the cloud so small that there's only one place the lightning bolt can go, straight down.
There you go.
So, all is well now in the Outworld sky, and poor Rain, lying in a little crater, goes, ugh.
Yeah, he's not dead.
But, he's not dead. It's important to note this, folks. Sean Kittleston, the series author, has confirmed on Twitter he is not dead. And like I've been saying...
crispy, but he's not dead.
Yeah.
Even, as a comic book reader, that's your sign that character's not dead. They're just in a tremendous amount of pain.
Yeah,
if he was
like
dead...
If the Joker falls off a bridge and you don't find where his body landed, he got away.
Right. If he's not making any noise, then he's likely dead.
Pretty much. 3 little ends and, fading off. This is just someone, slipping into unconsciousness or a coma.
Right.
I still don't think he's going to be in this upcoming game, but he ain't dead, so I guess that's what really counts. So, the Red Dragon, charged with their tasers, and Kotal, looking awesome, takes out his paddle and the Kamidogu dagger and jumps off of his dinosaur And it's not even a challenge. He just cuts through them one after the next, gouges one's eyes out, gives two of them a full-fledged paddling through the torso at the same time, hoists them up over his head.
Holding them up in the air with one hand. It's pretty brutal.
You really got to respect this guy at this point. He knows how to throw a fight. Well, not throw a fight, but have a fight. And he knows how to fight, definitely. So he's like, Goro, face me in combat! I love how they bolt in combat every single time they bolt it.
Do you need a hand with this Goro part?
I think I'm going to be okay.
Did you do it again?
I did it. I did a pun. Why am I doing this?
It's not too much for me to handle.
Okay, there you go. That was a good one.
I'm completely up in arms over all these puns.
There you go. All right, Temp, it's your turn.
I got nothing. I have absolutely nothing.
So you could say you're unarmed?
Okay, so Goro's next line is, stay here, I will handle the Emperor myself. I can't make this up. So, he tells them that Shao Kahn would never allow an Oshtek to rule Outworld, and he knew better than to treat a Shokan prince like a servant. Point. To which Kotal retorts, you serve a deranged temptress like Melina. Counterpoint. And this is an important line. Goro says, after all these years, you still don't understand. Shokan tradition forbids subservience. We live to conquer. Says the guy who's been serving Shao Kahn for so long. But anyway, hits him with a green energy blast, and Kotal goes flying a little bit. On his knees, he says, you killed my people, my father. And Goro, kicking him in the face while he's down, says, I would have killed your people ages ago, but Shao Kahn stayed my hand. He believed you might prove useful in combat. How wrong he was. So he uses his upper pair of arms to grab Kotal by the throat, and Kotal tries to push away with his feet. And Goro tells him, struggle. Die with dignity, just like your father. And this is a mistake, because Kotal's eyes just kind of blaze red here, and he pushes against Goro's chest with so much force that he rips off his upper two arms. At this point, he reaches down, grabs his good old trusty paddle, cuts the other two off in quick succession, one after the next. Oh, actually, no, I'm terribly sorry about that. When he first pushed off, he only ripped off the upper right one. Then he takes off the next three in succession. 1, 2, 3. So Goro is disarmed, on his knees, in disbelief. And Kotal says, pointing his paddle, Reptile, now. So, out of the invisibility cloak that Reptile has provided, pop Reptile himself, Devora, and Ferrantor.
Yeah, how is he making other people invisible?
There's a little field around him.
He controls invisibility. I don't know. That's what I was wondering.
We almost just figured he was altering his skin tone, but I guess that he just has kind of a field of radius around himself that he can throw it up around.
At least that explains why his clothes are invisible in every iteration. At least now we have somewhat of an answer to that.
That's
it makes more sense to me.
Yeah, I'm curious to see obviously it's just being shown for the sake of the comic, but I'm curious to see what that power level, like, could he just disappear an entire city? Because that'd be pretty hilarious. Reptile now, it's just a mobile city.
Disappear by spitting a mist of acid.
Yeah.
God damn that game.
So it's important to note that here we actually get what it looks like a little glimpse of Ferrator's alternate outfit, because the outfit's actually kind of really different. The face appears to be like the mask looks a little like a lighter shade of brown. There's a bit more armor there than I think he normally has. The gauntlets are more spiked. It's tough to tell. It looks different, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they colored it wrong or if his hood doesn't cover his whole head, because it looks like the top of his head is sticking out of the bag.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time if it was a miscoloring, tell you what.
And I guess he's a bald guy with stubbly.
Makes sense. I didn't expect to see a lot of hair up there anyway. So Farrah's like, look, Tor, meat puppets! And Reptile gets the line with, surprise! And they immediately go to work on the Red Dragon, and it's not Brittany in the background. So we go back to Kotal and Goro here, and Goro is asking him to finish him. You beg for mercy? Kill me, you bastard. Perhaps I should. No, that would be an act of kindness. Shokan tradition forbids such sentimental things. Ah, Stone Cold Bastard, and you've got to love him. So, later
good comeback.
on, it is. Throwing those words right in his face. I love when that happens. So later, we've got, it looks, I'm guessing that's Reptile reporting to Kotal, but it's really hard to tell because it's shadow anyway. It doesn't really matter. So, Goro will be returned to Kuatan. That's the Shokan province, for those of you who didn't know. Unfortunately, Melina and Reiko have escaped. Yeah, it's Reptile. There's a couple of S's in there. That was a his.
Yeah.
So, Kotal says they can't hide forever. Come, Reptile, let us turn to Zunkara. And Devora's going, this one does not enjoy watching the Emperor take unnecessary risks. And Kotal agrees that it was an extreme measure, that the dagger's magic extracted a very heavy toll from him, that he has to rest and regain, and then he's shot in the stomach, or ribcage. So, Devora cries, hunters, and it's not. Up from the above ridge, Sonia says, not quite, just a concerned parent wondering, where the hell is my daughter? And she's had a couple of people in robes with her. They all appear to be dressed Mad Max style for the harsh environments of Outworld. And that is where that chapter ends. Although it's not really an ending, so to speak, because the next page just kind of takes off right where it leaves off. There's no break or nothing. Kind of makes me wonder if this is actually chapter 9 or not, but I suppose it's a moot point. That's my part of the story covered.
All right.
Is there any thoughts on what just happened before we move on to the next part? Just so we're not trying to cover all of that.
Well, Sonia's kind of a bitch still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they don't want me to like Sonia.
Yeah.
She shot a man in Reno just to watch him die.
Yeah.
Honestly,
right.
She's really, really unpleasant in this series. I mean, she's normally a little bit brash, sure, but she's just being a stone cold kind of bitch throughout this whole thing.
And she's not smart about it. It's not smart to shoot the leader of the new Outworld. That might, I don't know, fucking start a war, maybe?
It wasn't smart to when he comes asking for help to, send him packing when, you agreed to earlier.
Yeah, and she didn't even have a motive then. Her daughter wasn't kidnapped yet, so why? Yeah,
it's like Kotal says, I helped you guys beat Shinnok, you promised you'd help me in Outworld, and Raiden and Sonya both brush him the fuck off. And now Sonya's just straight up shooting him. This is not wise. Why is she in charge?
Yeah, I mean, I can see Sonya brushing the guy off, because she is just kind of, Earth first and foremost, that's her job. Takes what she does seriously, but she's being written as a little harsh and a little bit too angry, I find. I don't
know. Maybe it'll make more sense of the game. Maybe this is her PTSD reaction to Jackson everybody dying in the last game.
Possible. We know that Jax is alive at this point, though.
Well, that's true.
What's everyone's thoughts on Goro still not being going back to MK4, MK Gold or whatever, where he turns good, so to speak. All right, is anybody disappointed that's not happening?
Well, Goro turned good before because the factions at play were Kitana's side, which was good guys,
right,
versus Shao Kahn in a weakened state. And his logic was, I'm going to side with the stronger ones, and also because Shao Kahn betrayed my people.
Right.
We never really saw Kahn betray the Shokan in favor of the Centaurs in MK9. Plus, now the factions are two neutral, two bad guys who are both kind of equally weak. So there's not really a good guy side for Goro to side with to make him look like a bad guy like he did in those games.
He does say at the end of the prior issue that he's doing this for his people. And that's what, to me, makes this whole thing really understandable in his favor. I can see why he's doing this.
Well, here's the
thing. What was the exact quote?
That sort of, so before this issue, or before the previous issue, actually, he was working for Kotal. Kotal sent him to the desert to find Reiko and Melina. And when he got there, he switched sides. because he felt that being sent after Melina was being treated like a rat catcher. So that shows what he thinks of Melina. And now he's working for her. Except that obviously he's planning to kill her when he's done and take things for himself. So I don't know, it doesn't seem very honorable.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do see how he's sort of, playing the game to get to the top, which is, doing what's best for his people, but it doesn't strike me as honor.
It's definitely logical, but it's not interesting to me. What made Goro interesting to me is not really present in what we're seeing now. Like, honor-driven and just sort of like rule worship within your own your race's code, it works for the character, but it's not particularly fun for me. It's not nearly as interesting as seeing him bury the hatchet with Kung Lao.
Well,
it just seems flat to me.
I wonder, because we're going to see in future issues this Shokan Civil War led by Kentaro. And I wonder what side Kentaro will fall on motivation-wise or alignment-wise, because I mean, it's the thing that probably sparks the Civil War is I won't be led by a guy with no arms. He's, weak and pathetic and a cripple. He doesn't deserve to lead the Shokan anymore. But, I mean, there could also be a sense there of he backed the wrong horse.
I'd rather see that. I'd rather see the latter. I mean, it'd be funny to see banners that say, don't follow a guy with no arms. That would be, I'd laugh, but that's not good storytelling. That's not really, I think I'd rather.
Don't accept any handouts.
Yeah. Oh, God, stop it.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
My soul. Ah.
But if Kentaro is going to start a civil war or lead a faction over the same honor code that got Goro into this bullshit anyway, I'm not interested. I'd rather see it be a more sophisticated, more independent, more character-driven stance,
Yeah.
I would have just rather honestly seen Goro still stay with Kotal, because in my opinion, we've been led to believe that Kotal really, stands for, race loyalty, and he's there. He's kind of like the races that don't get as much respect as they should. He's there to be like their leader, so to speak, with Reptile, Devora, Ferritor, Kotal himself, and Goro would have fit right along with that, which is why he was probably sided with them to begin with. But I guess I really just don't understand, like I said, like was mentioned earlier, Goro's reasoning for switching sides just didn't put Goro in a very smart light, like intelligent light for his character.
If he's got a weakness, it's probably pride. He's a very proud dude, that Goro is, and I can actually see that, like, after working with or under Shao Kahn for so very long, I feel that maybe he understands that there's like a time for honor and a time to, do what's right for you and your people, and putting number one first,
maybe
so to
that's
speak.
Because, I mean, you look at Goro conquered Kotal's race, and now he's going to follow that guy. It does make sense that he'd be all like, no, I should be in charge, not him.
Also,
like,
Goro
with
hasn't
the
been humbled
history
yet. Goro hasn't been humiliated and betrayed yet, so his pride is still going to be a problem, which I could see why, once Deadly Alliance comes around, that pride has been subdued. It's not his dominant motive anymore, so that would make sense why we'd see more good Goro.
It was more like the way Trilogy went happened different for him, because it was how he reacted to losing to Liu Kang in the old timeline, whereas in MK9, nobody seemed to care.
I cared.
Yeah, I was sad. That's a form of caring. But yeah,
He did a lot of jobbing in MK9.
Kung Lao
He's
doesn't
just bitter
even
now.
say anything about it when he beats him. Like, that was the dude's, like, life's journey. Like, avenge my ancestor, and then it comes around and he just, like, we gotta rescue Katana.
I love Reptile, though. They're doing a great job with Reptile.
Yeah,
It's interesting
Reptile.
seeing, like, yeah?
He seems like he's second in command. Like, he's
Well, his official title is Kotal Khan's Minister of Spies. He trusts him enough to give him a good day's work and an important position. That's more than Reptile has ever had. Reptile is doing very well here, folks. Very well.
If he has like a house pet mentality, it makes a lot of sense that once, someone with a moral fiber is in charge of Reptile, that it would reflect in his own character and he's not just going to be a generic douchebag. Like, Reptile actually seems like a mostly reasonable, well-mannered creature. I like it. I love it. I want to see more
I think
of
it's
this.
more like, Reptile always had this potential. It's just that Khan never gave him anything to do. Khan didn't care about him, and Kotal's actually giving him responsibilities and treating him like a person.
Reptile, kill this guy. Reptile, kill that guy. Reptile, eat the things you find at the bottom of the pit. It's filthy.
It's a nice progression. I really like this development with Reptile, and we'll talk about that a little more the next issue because that.
What are the odds that 4 robot arms will be a variation or alternate costume for Goro and MKX?
Well, Outworld Magic's a hell of a drug. I mean...
That's true. Well, it couldn't grow back Cabal's lungs, so it has limitations.
It's there when it's convenient for it to be there and for it to actually work. I've understood that. There's no logic or reasoning or well-established order of what Outworld Magic or healing magic can and can't do. It's just it's sad, but it is kind of a weakness. And as far as I can tell, from that Goro render that we've seen for the next game and that little short animatic of him cracking his knuckles, those arms look fine to me. There's no real way to tell whether or not Goro just appears at the start before he's disarmed, like the way we've just seen him, or what. But if he came back with all of his arms fully healed at a later point in time, I wouldn't even bat an eye.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that surprising. Maybe a little disappointing, though. I kind of want to see robot arms.
Hopefully they can give some of that Outworld Magic to Rain so he doesn't look like a burn victim in any future installment, because I don't know if I like the idea of burnt Rain. I don't know if I like crispy Rain. I like Rain
if anybody can heal up, it's a demigod.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking that too. I mean, he should be able to take, a sunbeam to the face. I would hope so, but...
The guy can turn himself into water. I don't know. Maybe can pull an Iceman and heal himself while he's in that state or something. Wouldn't surprise me. I'm not worried about Rain. I'd be more concerned about Goro's arms, if anything.
I'm a little worried about Rain. I really liked how they handled him in MK9. I've been playing a lot of Rain lately, so...
We'll talk a bit more about Rain.
Yeah, we'll open up that can of worms later.
Shit.
So, Razor, did you want to take the next chapter?
Sure. All right. Well, chapter 9 starts where the last one left off. Sonya is cocking her pistol and demanding to know where Cassie is, or she says she'll put the next one between his eyes. And Reptile's all like, "First you insulted us, now you ambush us with false accusations." Just wanted to do the voice.
Dude, read all of Reptile's lines. We should, every time he has a line in the comic, we should. It's our duty and our mission to do those lines. It's just fun.
We have a responsibility.
Responsibility.
That's right. So he shoots his tongue at her, and a hand comes out from off panel and grabs it, and it's Johnny. And he's like, "This whole situation is escalating way too fast. Sonya obviously forgot our plan to lead with her charm offensive. Me, Johnny Cage, at your service."
Still holding the tongue.
And he offers medical aid to Kotal's gunshot, but Devora's all like, "We got this," and she uses some bugs of hers to clean out the wound.
I just want to point out that Reptile is in the back looking at Johnny and holding his tongue almost, looking a little bit morose.
Yeah, it's still hanging out. He has this really goofily drawn face.
Didn't have to do that, you jerk.
Yeah, he looks hurt. He looks offended. I love it.
So I like this line. When Kotal gets up, he calls Johnny Raiden's champion and says, "I will speak with you only." And Johnny's like, "I don't blame you." And Sony whispers, "Jesus Christ, Johnny."
It was so wonderful reading that on the bus. Like, I actually snorted on the bus. I'm like, just perfect. Classic Sony and Johnny right there.
So, Johnny presents the evidence that his daughter's cell phone, she was captured by the Black Dragons, and Kotal's all like, "You think I'm connected because the Black Dragons sell technology to my army." And he says, "As a proud son who recently suffered the loss of his own family, I would never hire Kano to steal children." And
Such
Johnny's
a great
like,
guy.
"Maybe you wouldn't, but how about Homeboy here?" And shows the picture of Aaron Black on Cassie's phone. And Kotal clarifies that he's never personally met with Kano or the Black Dragon. Aaron Black does all of that as an intermediary for him. So they suspect that Aaron has taken matters into his own hands, that, like, after the meeting with Sonya and the Special Forces earlier, he went off all loose cannon and made his own arrangements. And then we find out that all of this is being observed by Movado with a pair of binoculars. And yeah, he sets out to find Cassie and Jackie before they do. And then we cut to a forest where the Black Dragons are making Cassie and Jackie march somewhere. Cassie tries to attack one of the guards and make a break for it, but she and Jackie both get knocked out by a laser beam. I don't know how a laser knocks you unconscious like the Force, as opposed to the burning, but
Cyclops does it all the time. Same principles.
yeah, but
I guess he can just like adjust on the
Cyclops'
side of his
powers
head.
are super weird. Here's a funny story. You know how Cyclops' powers work? The canon explanation. His eyeballs are a portal to a dimension of nothing but concussive force.
Of course.
Yeah,
That makes total sense.
This is why I never read too heavily into X-Men. I can't be asked at some point. Just give me the important storylines.
Yeah, hence one of my favorite internet memes, that Cyclops shoots punches from the punch dimension.
But can he beat the brick?
So anyway, the laser obviously came from Kano.
Actually, I just want to mention, the Black Dragon, the grunts, the goons that are leading them here, they're wearing these like really nice, tricked out black sets of armor. I don't recall
Well, these guys are cyborgs. Like they've got hoses sticking out of their backs, and their arms have like exposed bone-like. Well, what do you call those? They have like Terminator arms.
Yeah, pretty well. It seems to be a really brand new and interesting design. I thought I should just give them some props for doing that.
Yeah,
it's really pretty.
Well, we usually don't see Black Dragon goons. In Shaolin Monks, they just kind of looked like Kano, but in black and white instead of black and red.
Pretty much.
Like they all even had the bandolier with the big red box in it.
Nice to get some variety.
But yeah, Kano says that the next one who tries anything loses a leg, and Aaron's there, and he's like, "Do not cut off their legs, Kano." He's like, "I won't if they don't make me." And he's like, "No more I-beams either. That piece of junk's liable to blast a hole through someone." Kano points out that he's got a whole new eyepiece. He replaced it a few years ago, and we flash back to the first issue where he attacked Sub-Zero. And we see that after he cut the scar into Sub's face, Subby slammed him around and they had a bit of a fight. And Kano told him, "The dagger possesses whomever it cuts. The curse can be broken, you just have to kill the guy who's possessed." And Sub-Zero's like, "I've already been dead once, never again." And he freezes and rips off Kano's eyepiece. And then he grabs the Kamidogu dagger and jumps out a window. And Kano says, "Never saw him again. If I did, the knew I would." And then he's interrupted. They see movement in the tree line, and these Black Dragon goons are they're bantering a little in the back, and one of them says, "These girls are more trouble than they're worth," and they're just like, "Dare you to say that loud enough for Kano to hear?" And the first one goes, "Lose my head? No, thank you." And then his head gets cut off by a shuriken. So the throwing stars came from Mavado and the Red Dragons, who are there to steal the hostages and send a message to Kotal Khan written in their blood. Kano's like, could use a workout. And that's the end of that scene. The comic ends with a page where we see Scorpion and Takeda camping out outside the Sky Temple. And Takeda's complaining like, "I'm not even tired. We should have pushed on to the Sky Temple tonight." And Scorpion says, "See that storm? Don't want to be struck by lightning, do you? Those clouds are getting too close as it is." And then thunder strikes, and Raiden he teleports in and he's attacking Scorpion. He's carrying the bloody Kamidogu dagger of his, and he's covered in slashes, his eyes are glowing red, and he screams, "You should not have come." So he's obviously become addicted to the damn thing or something. I think Fujin could have told you that was coming. That's where the issue ends.
If I had a nickel for every time someone was holding a knife with a bunch of cut marks all over them and yelled at me, "You should not have come," I would have like 5 nickels.
That's too many
Weird
nickels.
Story.
I want an invitation to your parties.
Yes.
I think I've been to at least one of those parties. Nickels aren't worth it.
But no, that was cool to see a follow-up finally on the Kano Sub-Zero thing. And Scorpion and Takeda.
That was nice.
Still can't really say for certain which Sub-Zero that is.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying it sounds more like Kuei Liang because like his attitude, "I've been dead once, never again." And yeah, that does seem like the kind of a thing that,
Well, it
going
could
back
still
to their
be
past,
both of them.
it could
they
be.
were both dead.
Assuming that Bihan had like a revelation, assuming that Bihan was resurrected and had a revelation about the horrible time he spent as Noob Saibot, sure, that can be him too. I'm still on the fence. It could be either one of them in my opinion, but
here's my position. If it is Bihan wearing Kuei Liang's costume with Kuei Liang's scar on his face, Ed Boon is an asshole.
At this point, I'm leaning a bit more towards Kuei Liang than I am Bihan. I still think it could go either way, but I'm now at that point where I'm like, it looks like a duck. It kind of sounds like a duck.
Yes,
it might be
exactly.
a duck.
The only reason for it not to be Kuei Liang is just to give us the finger. Just, haha, we tricked you. We switched it up.
I don't know.
Do that.
I mean, even before the comic, I was 90% sure it was Kuei Liang. And even now, like, I have very little doubt in my mind. Could it be Bihan? Yes. Technically, there is nothing deconfirming this being Bihan. I just strongly doubt it. Because if it is Bihan, then where the fuck is Kuei Liang? Is he still in hell? Was he not resurrected? Did he become the new Noob Saibot in their role reverse now? How is that? It would blow my mind if it was Bihan. I can't see that happening. Like Shadaloo said, if it looks like a duck, acts like a duck, it's probably Kuei Liang.
Especially because didn't we learn that only some of them are getting brought back, and that's because Raiden struck a deal with Quan Chi? So why would Raiden specifically say,
do we know that it's because of a...
I got one more pick.
Deal with Quan Chi?
Well, no, we don't. I don't think there was anything about a deal.
We just know that some of them come back and others, Jade being one of them, don't.
Yeah, all we have as to how they came back so far is the little previously on page at the very beginning of the comics.
Right.
It says, "A fallen elder god named Shinnok rose to lead the undead armies of NetherRealm against us in a war that nearly destroyed Earthrealm. Nearly. Against all odds, Raiden and his champions prevailed. Shinnok was imprisoned, and his undead army was driven back to NetherRealm, except for a fortunate few miraculously restored to life and granted the opportunity to set things right.
Yeah. I
So
guess
it doesn't
that
actually say how they came back.
I don't know. I just like the dodgeball team aspect where Raiden was having to choose one last person, and both Bihan and Kuei Liang are standing there, and he's like, I'm gonna go with Bihan. What?
I would laugh if, like, Quan Chi, let's say there was a deal, and Quan Chi's like, who do you want to resurrect? And, like, Raiden pulls out an MK9 tier list and is like, not Jade. Keep Jade. Fucking back 2, unsafe, unblock. You can keep that bitch.
But yeah, so that's cool. I'm interested to see more of that. Maybe I'm wondering if that's where we're going next, or if we're gonna keep getting that like sprinkled in, or if that was it. I do think it's funny that, or not funny, but rather interesting that now Sub-Zero has the Kamidogu knife. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe possessed still. So.
You know what sort of disappoints me about this flashback scene? They wrote a whole scene around this story about how Kano replaced his eyepiece, but he's drawn exactly the same in both scenes.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't draw him in his, like, with his MK9 eye or anything. Like, he's in his MKX costume with the MKX eye in both the flashback and the present.
I forgot about that.
I couldn't tell. It was like so poorly drawn in the flashback. I thought there was like a minor difference. Like the one when he's in the jungle or the forest or whatever, when he's walking around, it looked a lot more. Well, it looks like MKX, but the one in the flashback definitely doesn't look like the MK9 one. It looks.
Yeah, it's just there's more close-ups on him in the present day.
Right,
but
exactly.
I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same.
Yeah, which is weird. Yeah.
Even the, like, Sub-Zero costume doesn't look consistent. Like, sometimes it looks like the MK3, like, 3 segments over his chest, and other times it looks like consistent from the bottom to the top, like, cut out, like, you know, window blinds. I don't know. It looks weird to me. I feel like the costume keeps changing.
You know what? There are some slight differences, but they're very minor ones. Like, there's a bit more of a panel directly above his eyebrow in the main segment in the flashback, which doesn't seem to be there in the present. Actually, no, there it is. It just varies from panel to panel. Ah, hell with it, never mind.
Yeah, I think it's just really odd choices with the drawing and coloring. That's just why.
It's a shame, too, because I thought it looked so much better before he got all that headgear going, you know? I like the original eye.
I like the original, the first one.
The original eye was clearly more advanced. Like I said in a previous episode, he had, like, the camera shutter eyelid. He could blink and look in directions. This one's just a big blocky lens.
Yeah, it's like a Borg helmet.
Yeah. I've mentioned this before.
Sure
I think
you can see out of it. I think it's just for lasers.
I've mentioned this before. I mean, I feel like he's probably been in Outworld for quite some time, and he's probably cobbled this thing together out of junk. Which, you know, for a prosthetic laser eyepiece, not bad. Maybe you can't see out of it, but not bad.
But yeah, and I did think
it turns colors now. That's new.
Yep, that's a nice little bonus. Gets to express himself now.
Some metallo crystals, stuck him in there.
Oddly chosen colors, you know.
Well, he's got a blue
colors.
one. He just doesn't wear it.
Oh, okay.
You saw that in the faction video.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. That's funny.
Part-time job as a traffic light, just outside of Khan's fortress.
But yeah,
like of art, Scorpion doesn't look nearly as cool with his hood down.
Looks like he got a beard trimmer. Doesn't look nearly as gnarly as it did before.
Yeah, I kind of pictured him with long hair, but
looks kind of dapper to me. I don't mind it. That one panel where we get a really, really good look at his face, he looks better than I thought he would. From like that one scene that we see him in the game where like his face is sliding off after it's been cut in half when he does a fatality to himself. The mustache didn't look as good as it does here, I find. I like this version of the mustache.
Yeah, I don't know. His facial hair isn't very pronounced in the game. But, Yeah, I think his hair looks a little too normal guy.
I didn't even recognize him at first.
I didn't
until I saw
either.
Takeda,
He
I was
doesn't
like,
really-
okay.
I honestly was like, is that Kenshi? And then I kept looking, and then I noticed he was wearing his MK9 attire, just without the hood and the mask, and I was like, oh, no, that's Scorpion.
Yeah,
I'm just-
I kind of wish they just draw Scorpion with the mask on.
I'm just glad that he's not waking up in the morning too angry to groom himself. That's all I'm grateful for.
Yeah, he's calmed down. He's chilled out a lot.
I did like how we went from back-to-back scenes of, I don't want to get my head cut off, and then he just got like his head cut off immediately, and then Scorpion's
Yeah.
talking about getting hit by lightning, and then we just see the next panel is lightning coming down in the form of Raiden, of course, and like landing on him and fighting him. That was like ironic. It's like, good thing we didn't see Sub-Zero be like, never again. He jumps out the window not realizing it's like 60 stories up or something. It's just...
Gilson likes to play with dialogue like that a little bit. It's not the first time. He subverts it sometimes. I remember, like, at the start he was like, who could have started this blaze? It's Sub-Zero. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
I love that. I love the whole new issue. This is my favorite issue to date, I think. And just to backtrack a little bit here, I love how Johnny Cage is the voice of reason in the conversation. They did Cage so well, and I really
like
this
if
character's
he had
grown
been
so
there for the negotiation in the earlier issue, I mean,
Aaron Black might not have kidnapped Cassie. Who knows?
I also like how protective he is of Cassie, but he's not like foolish about it like Sonya is. Sonya just seems like, where's my daughter? And just starts shooting her gun randomly. Where's my daughter?
It's just an excuse to be angry.
Right. Whereas
Johnny
Johnny's a lot more
He's
intelligent
grown.
about the way he goes about
He's
everything.
matured and he's grown, and it's really
He's-
nice to see.
Well,
He's
gets
still
along
unquestionably
with Kodo
himself.
and crew. He's like, he shakes his hand and offers him help and all this stuff. Like,
And he does call it a charm offensive, you know? He knows what he's doing. He's a diffuser. It's wonderful.
That does make me think, though, and maybe you guys have a different perception on this. Kodo said he'll only speak to Raiden's champion.
Yes.
Does that mean Sonya's not one of Raiden's champions? Does he not know?
I think it's a solitary position. It's like the guy who fights in the tournament. Like, Liu Kang was the champion until he fried him.
A lot of speculation as to what happened during the NetherRealm War with Johnny.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was
Precisely.
thinking.
People are wondering, like, you know, did Johnny take out Shinnok or Quan Chi or both of them or what? If Johnny took out Shinnok, that would make my day. That would be 10 kinds of amazing.
You
It's
know,
the
I
ultimate
can see it.
foil.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, MK9 kind of set that up.
Well, even in Armageddon, there's like this bit of dynamic between Johnny and Shinnok in Johnny Cage's bio. I don't know if any of you guys remember back
I
then.
do, and I liked that back then
don't.
as well. I like the idea that Johnny was taking the lead in Armageddon. I like a lot of things about Armageddon. I revisited the Conquest mode. I think Armageddon did a lot of things right, but it got overshadowed by the generic,
Yeah.
Armageddon was a
just
very,
the
very...
overall like blandness of the game.
Well, the problem is all those bios came out way after the game came out. It's almost like people didn't even pay attention to them, like they don't count.
At the time, it just felt like such a gigantic clusterfuck. You had all these characters there. No one knew why they were around. Shinnok was just up to things in story mode with his doppelganger and this and that, and it's like, what is going on? So some of these bios, as rushed out as they were kind of really necessary. And looking back at Armageddon these days, so many years later, I'm finding a lot more that I appreciate because of those bios and the way that they tried to weave some things together. Not at the end of the day, not everything is explained or can be explained, but there's enough there for you to get a general sense of how things happen. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I just feel like for Shinnok to be defeated by Cage would be brilliant, because if, right before Shinnok falls before Cage, he'd be looking at Cage and thinking, this guy is my downfall? This guy is the reason I failed? It's the worst possible thing for Shinnok's ego, and I think that's the best reason to write it that way. He got killed by a dunce, or imprisoned, I guess.
Yeah, imprisoned is the key thing. Like, I have a hard time seeing Johnny, take on Shinnok toe-to-toe in a one-on-one fight and coming out on top. But I can see Cage figuring out some way to outsmart him and get him re-imprisoned. That would make it for me.
And when they say imprisoned, I kind of picture the MK4 ending where Shinnok's face explodes and he falls into an abyss. I don't picture
An
like
abyss
a
that
cell.
sounds like a flushing
I picture
toilet.
like a... What's that?
It sounded like a flushing toilet. You remember that?
I don't know. I don't remember that, but I will check that out.
Yeah. You'll look that up. The Shinnok's defeat from MK4.
I just can't get that damn the meat face out of my head now. No.
It was much less epic than Khan's going. Than the way that like Khan died, or like all of Khan's various death animations.
Yeah, I recently watched on YouTube over the past week all the MK9 endings again in one video, and they had all the times Khan got beat, and it's just like every time it's fucking the same thing, but like the same noises and the same result like in the old games, and it still makes
Yeah, but
me
I
laugh.
love how some of them do their special moves too.
Right, yeah, there was some special qualities which I definitely enjoyed. Anything personality based where they actually make things unique like that, I definitely think is cool. Like I can't think of the damn. There was somebody that had like, as they're beating up Khan right after, like, don't they absorb like his soul or something? Or I don't even fucking remember. Maybe I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of...
like they animated the green glow coming off.
Right,
the body.
right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. It was probably Ermac. That would make sense. But anyways, you're gonna say something, Tim?
Yeah, no, I was thinking like, when MK4 was out, and the spikes come out of Shinnok's head. I was thinking, what is that? What causes that? And I thought maybe that was a hint that, and this is wrong. I was wrong when I thought this, but this is just what I thought at the time. Maybe that this game, Sub-Zero is going to be the one to defeat Shinnok, not Liu Kang. And the idea is when Sub kills Shinnok, I imagine that was sort of his finishing move. He inserts his fist into his chest and the spikes come out of his body and his head. And that's why his face kind of blows off, but... that wasn't a thing. That never happened, so... I still don't know why spikes come out of his head. I still have no idea.
Think about it, though, man. I would love to see a Sub-Zero fatality where he just, like, puts his fist into the guy's chest and just have a bunch of icicles spring up out of all points of the body.
That
That'd
would
be great.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other thoughts on the comics before we go to the stages in the Katana video?
Well, I love it. I want more of it. I can't wait for it. And I'm going to pester Kittleson on Twitter and see if he's going to come to the Montreal Comic Con later on this year. If he can, I'm going to press him for information.
Cool.
Damn straight.
Yeah, next issue is going to be Scorpion versus Raiden, and then I guess after that Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. So maybe we'll finally find out for certain which brother it is.
And next issue, by the end of the issue, we're supposed to know what the Kamidogu consequences really are and how they're going to affect everyone. So, because that's chapter 12, I believe Kittleson said. So, yeah.
Approximately 2 weeks from today is when that issue goes up on sale.
Yep. So, cool.
Oh.
We'll at least know by then exactly why everyone's got the rage.
That was my original guess, was Kodo was going to get corrupted by the dagger.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like from the dialogue from Devora that Kodo is going to become oppressive later, but we'll see. I don't know.
I
Wait
hope
a sec.
not. Yeah.
We're getting another print issue in 2 weeks?
Yep.
So that one will have, like, 2 digital chapters that we haven't seen yet.
I'm not sure. I think that there was a week there where we actually got, like, 2 digital chapters in a week. Or, like, one was on a Wednesday, another one was on, like, a Sunday.
Well, that was the very first week.
Yeah.
You never know how they have it set up. I'm not sure. God damn, would that be nice, though.
So yeah, it is kind of odd, but yeah, I mean, if it says it's listed for 2 weeks, that's pretty cool. But yeah, so I guess in 2 weeks we will know. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what it is.
Sure, like, chapter 9 comes out digitally this Sunday, and then next Sunday will be chapter 10, and then it'll be the next issue, so it'll have 10, 11, and 12 in it.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, all right, well, let's get into the stages. There was 3 stages or 2 stages that they showed off in that video that we hadn't previously discussed. There is the Lin Kuei one that the one that we're assuming is Lin Kuei that we've seen in previous trailers, but only briefly. This is our best look yet, and had a great view of the backdrop and everything. And that's the Lin Kuei mountain-esque one where it's snowing, and it has like a giant Buddha statue, or we're not sure who that statue is of. Could be Lin Kuei related, could be who the hell knows. And then there was the library stage, or whatever we want to call it, that looks like, as Shadaloo pointed out, that it might be that floating pier or the pillar in the NetherRealm Crossroads stage. Could be Shinnok's quarters, the Brotherhood of the Shadows quarters, could be Quan Chi's quarters that he takes from Shinnok. Who knows? But it definitely looks very Quan Chi-like in Brotherhood of the Shadow. Why they have Shao Kahn's hammer and whatnot, I have no idea, but I guess we'll get to that. Was there a third stage in there oh yeah, the Elder God stage.
Yes.
Okay, the one that looks like the MK4 kind of remake of that stage, just changed up a little bit. So let's start with the Lin Kuei looking one. I, for one, really love this stage. The way it looks is, I've made it clear before, I'm a sucker for snow stages. I love the Deadwood stage. I believe in our third episode when we talked about the stages, I believe third or fourth, I can't fucking remember. I think it's third, but regardless, I really like the Deadwood stage, or at the time we called it the Snow Forest. I really like the aesthetics of it, the darkness, in contrast with the snow aesthetics, of course, and I love snowy, cold environments like that. It just looks so visually, aesthetically pleasing and everything, and this is no different. In fact, I don't know, this might be one of my favorite stages from what we've seen thus far, just because it just looks really damn cool. I love the mountains in the background. I like the little lanterns hanging from the tree. The statue looks neat, even though I want to know who it is first. You know, I'm curious who this is for. The coffins look just absolutely eerie and creepy, and why would they be sticking up out of the ground like that? I'm just so like intrigued by what all the explanations. If they do like a background breakdown on this on one of the streams, I want to know why. I want to know all the details. I want to know the story behind this stage, and it just looks absolutely stunningly beautiful. Anybody else?
When it comes to stages, I don't have a lot to say, but go on.
I do like the what appears to be kind of a Lin Kuei stage, although just the imagery of having a Buddha-like statue just sitting in the middle, wielding a couple of pillars of fire in each hand. Something about that doesn't say Lin Kuei to me, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's like making me question this. Like, why is there this? Like, first of all, somebody, go ahead.
It could be like an old grandmaster. You know, that's what's most curious about the stage to me. That the statue and the two coffins really make me wonder, like, what the story is behind this stage. And I hope there's like some kind of bio or descriptive text in the game that explains what's going on in the stage.
Right.
Like what all these
yeah, exactly.
monuments are too.
Yeah. One thought is, since it's fire that the person's holding, maybe it's Sector related? Maybe if it is Lin Kuei, this could be way in the future when Sector takes control of, or I guess he took control of it likely after MK9, but the fact that the person's bald and everything, maybe that is like an homage to Sector as Grandmaster? I don't know.
I mean, I think actually quite the opposite. Assuming Sector is still in command of the Lin Kuei down the line, which actually I find very, very unlikely. Like, we've seen that one panel of Sub-Zero in the comics fighting against them in Raiden's initial vision.
Right, yeah, he's
so
definitely going to get overthrown.
That there's a confrontation. So I don't think that like the Lin Kuei under Sector would actually have any kind of spiritual or like religious imagery at all. Like, I could see stuff like this being cleared out the day after Sector takes command. The fact that it's even there at all would imply to me that like things have returned to a relatively normal state under the Lin Kuei, or that the Lin Kuei have actually become maybe a kind of a force for good again. It's possible.
Yeah, like what would robots need to like honor their ancestors for, or anything like that?
We
like
know that Sub-Zero...
when Sector ran the Tekunin in the old timeline, their headquarters was an airship.
We know that Sub-Zero has a Grandmaster variation, and I could see him at some point in the far future maybe building some spiritual temples like that, assuming it was Kuei Liang and or a really heavily religiously awakened Bihan. Maybe. But
Even before the
Sector-
Cyber Initiative, you know, I didn't really see the Lin Kuei as the spiritual types. I always saw them as a business, you know,
Well,
as sort of a
Me too.
Well, what we did see of their headquarters before Sub-Zero took over, it was like in mythologies, it's in the ruins of like an ancient Mongolian temple, like they hide in the basement or something. And the idea is, you know, nobody would look for us here, right?
Well, I mean,
So
even in
far-
Deadly Alliance, we got an arena
Well, that
based on the outside of the Lin Kuei.
The temple from Deadly Alliance is Sub-Zero moved the clan there after he took over because he's like, well, everybody knows where the old headquarters is, so I'm going to have to find a new one.
Right.
And that one we find out in Armageddon was an abandoned temple to Taven's mom.
Ah. See, I don't know. It's we kind of talked about before we started recording whether this is White Lotus, Lin Kuei, or just completely unrelated, and definitely has Lin Kuei like atmosphere, but the rest of it's very something you would associate more with White Lotus. The lanterns,
It's very much a temple.
yeah,
And it's got that Chinese feel to it.
yeah, indeed. So yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it's like a mixture of the two, if there ever was one. So that's why I'm still I'm just really intrigued by what this is. It could be Lin Kuei, it could not be. I have no idea, but it just
Well, like
I'm
I
intrigued.
said, I'm pretty sure this is the background we see when they talk about the Lin Kuei faction in the factions video.
yeah.
It's got these coffins too. The presence of the coffins next to the statue. It's very, I don't know, kind of commemorating the dead, I suppose. And you can see like a skeleton in there as an interactable. Probably not anyone that we know. At least I'm really hoping not. But this is definitely a place to honor the dead. It would seem.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on this one?
Not for me.
All right. Well, then let's move on to the let's talk about the Elder Gods one first, because there's a little bit we got a very brief view of that one, so there's not as much to talk about, I feel, but it's very much like the MK4 one, just obviously revamped so many years later, so they can do a lot more with it. And
Well, this one is sort of, in some ways, the opposite of the layout of that one. Like, that one was a big stone room with blue faces.
right,
This one is sort of like a, instead of faces, there's carved statues of heads. It's almost like the Easter Island statues, except they all look different. And then in the middle of the room, there's this big column of blue light, and it's like rocks are spinning around it. It's like a torrent of energy.
Yeah, it's literally the reverse. It went from a stone room with blue faces to stone faces in a blue lit room. It's quite the opposite. But I mean, I like them both. I like the concept better in MK4, but this looks really good. And I don't know how well the concept aged. I think it looked silly even back then. Even though I liked it, it looked strange and kind of like something you would see in a Dolly painting. So I see why they didn't go that route again.
I'd call it a marked improvement over the MK4 iteration if this is indeed the Elder Gods like stage. I like it a great deal. I think I need to see a lot more of it, but so far, you know, it's got those little runes on the pillars, like on either side. There's definitely more detail there than we've been exposed to so far. I hope we get to see a little bit of that in tomorrow's stream.
You see, I'm not entirely sure it is a remake of the Elder God stage, because like it's obviously some sort of like temple or ancient place of worship. It seems more dark and sorcerous to me, with the big swirly column of light. It's like a portal or something. It almost reminds me of a Soulnado, except obviously not souls. I don't know. There's something odd going on there. I'm curious to find out what its deal is. But like, I definitely prefer it compared to the MK4 one, but I thought that there was, we talked about that stage in MK9 that was sort of, it was that Pantheon area where Raiden and Liu Kang talked to the Elder Gods, and it was sort of open to the sky, and there was this weird cosmos with like planets and moons and stuff out there, and the Elder Gods were like whole torso glowing blue bodies. I sort of thought that looked interesting and really wanted that to be a stage.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I mean, whatever this is, I like it.
Yeah, I like what we've seen thus far, but we just haven't seen very much of it. I feel like we've only seen maybe one little, part of it, whereas I'm sure it's going to expand in different areas. So, fucking John, go you bastard!
Hotness from the chat.
Unrelated. But yeah, no, I feel like we've only seen one little spot in that arena, so I'm curious to see what else we're gonna see from that area, because the MK4 one was only in that little room, and like you said, it could be something completely unrelated. It's just similar looking, but yeah, it's definitely different. So it's not a direct remake by any means, even if it was a remake, and it could be something completely different. So we'll see. Yeah, for sure. But I'm definitely intrigued, and I want to see more of it.
That's why I don't really say much when it comes to the stages, because even though they look cool, I can't really connect to any of it yet. I don't have that context.
Yeah,
it's hard. It looks pretty, but I don't really know what more to say other than that. If it was a returning stage, I could compare and contrast. But right now, it looks cool. Like, my impressions are positive, but it's hard to analyze.
Yeah, that's where like that's like my thing though. It's like I love visually aesthetically pleasing things, contrasting colors, the tones. Like, I'm big into, like, in most cases, there's a reason why I don't like the marketplace as much as I like, say, the Snow Forest or the Deadwoods, etc., or even the Lin Kuei one or some of the other ones we've seen, is just because I love blues. I love blue tones, gray tones, and stuff like that. And purples and greens and stuff like that just look absolutely beautiful to me. And the arenas in this game have been really, really good looking. That Crossroads one that we saw, that we talked about last week, I believe, that was in their previous stream, looked absolutely amazing. So yeah, I love seeing new stages like this for this exact reason, because I mean, obviously the gameplay is, the meat and potatoes of the game, but the visual aesthetics and whatnot are the little sizzle factor, and we're going to be playing in these damn stages all the time, so it just blows me away when I see some of these backgrounds in some of these stages. So yeah, I just get really excited for them for sure.
If there's one bit of crazy lunatic theory that I'd like to put forward in regards to this stage, it's not much, but it looks to me like the head statue all the way off to the left is wearing some kind of head dress or something. Definitely something going on there. Maybe the one on the right too.
Right.
So I'm thinking possibly related to Kotal's race or something. Maybe. If it's not a straight up Elder God stage remake, that's my second guess.
All right.
That's it.
Let's move on to the one that probably has the most talking points and speculation based on some of the things in the stage itself, is the Quan Chi Brotherhood of Shadow library-esque looking one. And we saw this one. It has skulls everywhere, just decked out in skulls. That's why it definitely screams Brotherhood of the Shadow. But it's very, as Shadowloo mentioned before, that it's very reminiscent of the MK4 stage. It just has a lot of the similar colors. The skulls obviously play a big factor, but in general, it just definitely screams either Shinnok, Quan Chi, Brotherhood of Shadow. And I think that isn't that the one that's in the Brotherhood of Shadow background for
it
their
is.
clan?
This is absolutely the one.
Okay, so yeah, it's definitely related for sure for them, and we just don't know who exactly the stage is for and beyond their faction. But it's just odd that Shao Kahn's armor's there, his hammer's there, and then of course we have the giant frickin' dude being almost like being built in the middle, just in like a giant blood pool with symbols around it. Definitely kind of creepy, and he's large. He's definitely big, almost Shao Kahn or even maybe bigger. So you just see muscles and blood and meat and whatnot. It's just, yeah.
I think that like it's really safe to say that maybe Shinnok, Quan Chi, both of them, who knows, they're trying to resurrect Shao Kahn or build their own, which is kind of a more terrifying prospect to me. But yes, this is definitely a room to like create dudes in. There's like with like formaldehyde jars, with, like full of organs.
Flesh
And
pits
It's Quan Chi's version of the flesh pits.
yeah, flesh pits was
Yeah.
for women. This is for dudes.
this is actually kind of more what I picture the flesh pits being.
Yeah,
like,
see,
when
this
it's
is
first
a
ever
way
described.
better design for like a wizard's lab. Like this is what I wanted the flesh pits to be, with like bookshelves and like cauldrons and potions on just wizard shit, not just an empty room with some tubes and a hanging
Yeah.
corpse.
I hated the flesh pits. It reminded me of that scene from Alien Resurrection. And that's not a good thing. That I take points off for that. So this looks a lot better. And I have a fetish for bookshelves and in fantasy environments. I don't know why. That's really cool. The Conra stage has that too. It just looks really good.
Yeah, this stage does look really, really awesome. And Shadowloo pointed out that he thinks he can notice some of the similar like cliffs and whatnot down in the NetherRealm stage, crossroads. So
In the background,
right,
you can basically see like these kind of curved spires, like the points and the upright tips of mountains.
so
And
yeah, it's
like-
potential that this is in the spire, the giant spire that we saw in Crossroads.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like it's in the center far background of the crossroad stage. There's like this little floating looking castle thing, and that's what I think that this pretty much is.
Any thoughts on what the hell is with the dude in the blood pit in the middle? Other than the fact that somebody's trying to reincarnate something or build something.
Well, if they're growing their own Shao Kahn, I gotta say, good work, Raiden, with your whole preventing that future thing. It really worked out well for you.
Yeah,
Now that would actually be really funny. Think about that. Because Shinnok was kind of one of the main forces in Armageddon, actually kind of
I
looking
just
toward
want
that.
to see MK11 literally be the Pyramid of Argus rises again, and the very first cutscene is Raiden drops to his knees and starts to sob.
But seriously,
Where have
what
you
if,
been,
like,
Blaze?
as long as we get to see Stryker just sucker punch Melina again.
what if like
I'm down.
that is Shinnok and Quan Chi's plan? What if they want to get us back on that path to
I
Armageddon?
just want to see
and to do
Raiden
that, they
cry
need Khan.
hysterically. I tried so hard. Why?
Yeah, I mean it's very likely. I mean, all evidence does kind of add up that it could be Shao Kahn being, recreated, so to speak. I mean, even in Quan Chi's MK9 ending, he reincarnated Shao Kahn to fight for him as a revenant. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that Quan Chi would be interested in, even though they're the ones that kind of fucking, were playing off of that in MK9, but if they can bring him back and he's going to be controlled by them, then they know that's a powerful thing. So the fact that we already know Shao Kahn's soul is in Ermac currently, so you recreate the figure, you have his armor, you have his hammer, and his soul is obtainable. Yeah, that's bad news for Raiden and Earthrealm and all of that and everything they're trying to accomplish here. But yes, it's very, yeah. I'm curious to see how they get that hammer and...
Well, yeah, the hammer's an interesting point, because in the comic, Kotal had it, and then Goro got it. Now who knows where it is, because Goro didn't use it in the comic to fight.
One would assume Raiko has it. Is Raiko part of the Brotherhood of Shadow? I thought he was.
He was in
He's-
MK4. In this timeline, I have no idea.
Reiko's got a long and weird history of like being allied with both Khan and the Brotherhood of Shadow at the same time.
The
and
old
they've never really gone into detail
timeline
as to why.
sort of suggested that he was Khan's general a long time ago, and then he died and went to hell. And because of his history as a great general, Shinnok made him his general. And then at the end of MK4, Reiko saw Shinnok was going to lose and abandoned his post and went back to Outworld.
Yeah.
And went back to being Khan's general around at the time of Armageddon. So, the reboot verse seems to suggest that Reiko's just been in Outworld all along.
I would hope not, because that's kind of the appeal of Reiko to me, is that he was one of the NetherRealm generals. That's kind of what I liked
Yeah,
about him,
I completely agree with
Yeah,
you
see, that's
there.
my favorite thing
Same
about
here.
him too. Well, that and his sophisticated and strategic personality, but
Still,
like
there's
I like the idea of the guy like the dying and the coming back, and then the point where he's just all like, well, the side I'm on is going to lose, so I'll just quietly step away and nobody notices.
well, he could still be aligned with the NetherRealm or all along, or for all that we know, because NetherRealm's got a history of like putting plants up in Outworld. Noob Saibot, Melina during UMK3/Trilogy. Wouldn't be the first time. Probably
As-
won't be the last.
Well, then maybe I don't know. I mean, if he does obtain it, if Goro didn't have it during his battle, one would assume he passed it off to somebody inside, which who other than Raiko would have been that person, or Melina, I should say, either or.
Yeah, there's always the question of, I mean, if the Quan Chi stage could be from the MK4
time,
era,
that
and
time,
like the comic is 15 years later,
right? So
and
maybe
the game is going to be another 10 years after that, most of the game, but not all of the game.
yeah.
That
So
it's-
yeah.
That hammer's probably been up on eBay at some point. It's probably like exchanged hands a fair number of times.
But if that is the future, then that would be interesting because I don't know. Well, that leads the question: how did if that's from the NetherRealm era, how did Kotal get it? So there's a lot of curiosity.
Well, we know that
questions.
Kotal helps beat Shinnok, so maybe at some point that
It's like his
lab is
prize.
raided, and Kotal's
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to take this hammer because I'm the Emperor now. Or maybe somebody like Quan Chi gives it to one of his soldiers to take to Outworld and fight some battle, and they lose that battle, and the hammer is the spoils of war. There's a lot of ways.
They have one of those shipping wars where they all have to stand outside and look in, like everyone's evaluating what's inside, and Kotal's like, "Oh, it's got Khan's hammer. I'll throw down a few thousand on here."
Reiko, I'm trusting this to you. Can I have the helmet too? No.
Does the giant creepy dude that's spawning in the middle, does he come with it? Is he part of the package?
Do you come with the hammer? Oh, you.
He's just there for several years, just standing there. I don't know, that'd be so weird. But yeah, that stage is raises a lot of questions and curiosities, and I'm just once again really interested to see what story relation this has, what time period it's from, who all it's for, what's in that stage exactly. We've seen a lot of interesting stuff as it is. What else could be in there that might be interesting? And of course, Khan's hammer and his armor and whatever that creepy dude is definitely raises a lot of questions. And I'm really intrigued to see where, what, and why. So, and how.
When?
That is a good one too. Let's not forget when.
Yeah, when's rather important.
Yeah, when they're all up there.
All of the W's.
Yes.
The when is combat time. It's always combat time.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for the stages. Let's move on.
I do have a question for everyone.
Son of a bitch.
Given who we think is most likely in the game, has that changed anyone's decision? Now that we know Shinnok is probably in the game, is anyone going to pick up Shinnok as their main? Because I'm thinking about that. That might be my character right now. Has anyone's minds changed?
I think that it's looking better for Shinnok than it used to. I'm still not sold that he actually is in the game as a playable character. And even if he is, I could not tell you right now because, like, when have we ever... Shinnok changed so much between MK4 and Armageddon. And I don't believe for a split second that now that we're back on a 2D plane, he's going to have, like, that whole move stealing shtick that he had back in MK4. His moves are going to be much more closer or akin to what he had in Armageddon, but on a 2D plane. And it just... They're going to have different properties, and it's going to be a whole different ballgame.
And the difference between the quality of Armageddon and just the gameplay and the moves available to them and their normals and everything, and add variations on top of it, it's going to be night and day difference. So even though Shinnok will still, carry a lot of his same powers and traits and whatnot, it's too soon for me to tell whether I'll be interested in playing him. I like the character, I like his power set, so I'm definitely intrigued to see him in gameplay, but I've also enjoyed just about every character we've seen revealed thus far as gameplay and their look, and I could easily see myself playing just about any of them thus far. So Shinnok to me is no better or different than any of them in terms of, yeah, I'm almost positive he'll look awesome and play awesome, but it's really a matter of, is he going to be a slow character? Well, I guess the variations kind of give you a nice variety anyways, that's the point of them. So I guess I really can't go into that or, harp on that factor, but overall...
That is a worry for me, though. I'm afraid that they're going to make him have 3 different zoning variations. And if Li Mei's not in the game, Smoke's not in the game, Shinnok is a straight-up zoner, I'm just going to lock myself up in my closet and cry because I'm fucked. I don't have another character. Well, what's up, Shadow?
I can see this. Like, you give me a variation on Shinnok, where he's in his gigantic ass, terrifying, but in a modernized redesign way, that kind of final...
Cloverfield?
No.
Okay, go on.
Never Cloverfield. I hate that movie like I hate Alien Resurrection. Props for that, by the way. Fuck that movie. Anyway, no, like...
Cloverfield.
That mythology's last boss... Where you saw for a split second Shinnok's true unstoppable form. You give me a variation of Shinnok that's like that, that's really slow but stupid powerful, with a lot of differences in his moveset, and I'm more than happy. I wanted to see like that last form of Shinnok come back and raise some form of hell for so long now. Shinnok is a well of untapped potential, a fire well, if you will, and I think it needs to happen.
Well, that would be cool if, like, he has a variation where for 10 seconds he can be the not Cloverfield monster and have unblockables. Like, he doesn't have combo juggles traditionally, but his hits can't be blocked anymore, and he takes reduced damage. That would be really cool. I think that'd be really interesting.
I'd love it.
And Razor, you played Jax. That was pretty much your main in MK9. Are you thinking about maining Jax again, or is Cassie taking his place? What are you doing?
You know what? I go into each game as a man without a country. I wouldn't have called... If you had asked me before MK9 came out, who are your mains going to be, I would not have expected Johnny and Jax.
Right. And I agree with that, because other than, maining your favorite character, which, anybody's going to do if their favorite character is available, they're definitely going to be the first one they try and get good with. Get good, kid. But no, they're going to definitely try and learn that character just because it is their favorite. But if their favorite character just doesn't mesh with the style that they like to play, so if their favorite character is really slow, but they like fast characters, or whatever the case is, combo heavy, or just heavy hitters, or this or that, or the other thing, zoners, rushdown, etc. I'm kind of with Razor on that. I definitely like to try and learn the ones that I like character-wise I like, but at the end of the day, I'm going to try several different characters, and if I don't particularly care for the character themselves, loving their gameplay will kind of open my eyes and make me like them more. Very similar to, I feel like you're probably with Rain, since playing him, you probably like the character just a little bit more just because you dig his gameplay now, correct?
Yeah, that's true. It has to be both worlds though. Like for me, no matter if like Shiva fit my playstyle.
Oh yeah. I mean that's an extreme example. Yeah. That's like, of course, yeah. I completely agree. If I like Shiva's gameplay, I'm likely still not going to play her just because I really don't care for the character. But I mean, if it's somebody that you're indifferent, or they're in your top 30, but they're in the back end type of thing, or whatever the case, then if you really enjoy their gameplay, you're much more likely to take. For me, I like Sub-Zero. I like Liu Kang. So in MK9, I really like their gameplay on top of it, and I also like Cyrax and his gameplay. But take for instance, I like Sector, and MK9 I just could not get into. For some reason, it just did not fit. But on the opposite token, I like Smoke, but he's not in my top 10 or 15. But I really like Smoke's gameplay, so therefore I like him a little bit more, and I'm more willing to try him. So I mean, it kind of goes both ways. So when the game comes out, I'll probably try. I mean, I'll try everybody. I would encourage everybody to try everybody. Just because you never know what character. Any character could be their next Rain, for your example, or. For me, I took the longest time to finally give Kenshi a try, even though Kenshi's in my top 5 characters. just because when I did try him, before I really wanted to try and like actually, learn him and learn his combos, I tried him and he just has a lot more technical combos, which I wasn't to that level yet, so I just kind of passed him off like, oh, I'm not really going to play Kenshi, which is a shame, but, oh well. He's just not my, style of play. But once I got better at, doing those types of combos and getting quicker with them and being able to do the juggles a bit more, I visited him recently and I started really liking his gameplay a bit more. So, yeah, I ultimately long-winded response, but point being, I'm going to give everyone a try. There's so many people's gameplay that looks really good. Like, for instance, I usually don't play Kano, but damn, his gameplay looks really good. So, I mean, I'll at least try him and see if I can get into his gameplay. So I feel like that's the case with a lot of characters, not just Shinnok. But Shinnok's definitely one I would be interested in seeing for sure.
Well, let me pitch this then. Does it make you not want to use a character when they're extremely highly used, like, say, Superman in Injustice or Lars in Tekken? If they're just so prevalent, does that affect you?
Yes and no.
That affects me,
yes
for
and
sure.
no. Yes and no for sure. Yes, in the sense that if a character, I mean, it's the hipster. We're all a tad bit hipster in the sense.
Fuck you, man.
we're all. I mean, everybody can agree to being a little bit hipster to the point where if they see everybody into something, they may not hate that, but they're at least going to try and be like, you know what, I want to be different. So there's that factor in everybody. I feel like if you see nothing but Sub-Zero and Scorpion online, you're probably going to want to learn a different character just so you're not always facing the same character that you're playing. Because if you're like me, I don't like facing the same. I mean, it can be fun, matching character with character because you have the same tools at your disposal. But also, I also like getting into one character while another person gets into another character, and then you use those different tools against each other. I think that's fun, and I think it's fun when people have different favorite characters. So yes and no in that sense that yes, if somebody's using, like if everybody's using a character, I'll generally try and stay away from that character and go for a different character. But no in the sense that if I really like Batman and Injustice, if it's my favorite character, regardless how many people are using that character, I'm still going to want to, try and learn that character if I like their gameplay.
Well, I guess, like, going back to what I said in the Graveyard Shift, for me, the reason why I like playing competitively is because if I like a character and I have an attachment to that character, that attachment has so much more meaning when I have success with that character.
Right.
So if 40 people are using that character already, let's say I do get to grand finals with that character. Well, that's cool. Well, 40 dudes already have rubbed their taint all over that character. It's not special anymore. So for me, that does matter. I need my character, like, believe it or not a lot of people have done a lot with Smoke, and Shazam especially. Like, Shazam, I like that character a lot. If I kept playing Injustice, I would have taken him a lot farther, I think. But if I did win a tournament with Shazam, it would have been really cool. There's not a lot of people doing that. Like, I think Digit is the only Shazam player who's getting any numbers at tournaments. So that I don't know. That's a factor for me.
I totally, like I said, I think we're very close in agreement there. It's just, like I said, that's just, we're both of the mindset that you want to play a character, but you don't want to play the same character that everybody else is already using and using successfully. I totally get you there. Yeah. Completely. But the slight difference for me is if everybody else is using a character that if Cyrax is my favorite and a bunch of other people jump on Cyrax and play him a ton, which, if tournament scene is like that and a lot of people use Cyrax or he's just really broken, I have no idea. But point is, I know Cyrax isn't everybody's favorite character and he's very rarely on people's top 5, I'd say. Just speaking casually, just in general, MK fan wise. I just haven't seen a lot of, Cyrax is their favorite character fans. So yeah, I'm happy about that. I don't want everybody to like the same character that I do, but on the same token, I'm not going to just completely deny my favorite character because other people like. I still play Sub-Zero, and there's a lot of Sub-Zero players casually. So I mean, it goes both ways.
I'm on the other end of that fence. Fuck you. I'm gonna play who I want to play, and I like playing my character online. I like seeing how other people use him. I like learning new tricks and maybe adapting my own gameplay if I see nice tactics and techniques that I can use. And I just believe in playing whatever character suits you and making the most of it. And I just don't see why you should limit yourself because of what other people are doing.
Intellectually,
going and adapting. And I mean, maybe I'm lucky because I never saw that many Sector players out there, but I never had that problem.
I agree on an intellectual level. I wish I could agree on an emotional level because right now my main is Sub-Zero and MKX. And, people are going to be all over that character. So intellectually, you're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, you should play the character that fits you, that you love, and it shouldn't matter who everyone else is playing. But for me, I feel like when you succeed with a character, I feel like there's a level of ownership, just kind of like I've left my stamp, my mark is on that character. I'm part of that character's legacy now, and yeah, and also I mean, just not to mention I hate mirror matches. I just despise mirror matches.
Yeah,
like
I like
it's kind of the worst thing ever.
See, back in the day when we'd play like Bloody Roar and stuff, that's something my friends and I just had like an unspoken agreement that as soon as you turn on the game for the first time, everybody picks their character, and if somebody else picked a character already, you just go with a different character, and you all stick to your characters, and you don't use each other's characters. And I know that's silly, but at the same time, it's just like kind of where Tem's coming from. It's just more fun that way or not really more fun, but it's just you have that special feeling like this is my character, that's your character. I like your character, but I'm not going to sit there and or at least if the other person's picking that character is like mirror match style, you don't go and like pick that dude's character. So it's like
I can get that, and it also actually really sucks if you were better with that character that they've picked as their character than they are.
Right.
I used to have endless matches with a guy, a very good friend of mine to this day still, and out of all things, Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha, and he loved Garuda. Like he really loved Garuda. Could deal with some damage with him, but when we tried mirror matches, I destroyed him every time, and it just was not fun for the guy. So we agreed that I should stay away from Garuda, and I did.
Well, there you go. I mean,
man.
that's and it's also, it's not even just, I mean, I think we all agree that if it's our favorite character, like if it's our top favorite character, I don't think there's anything that's going to prevent you guys from playing Smoke or me from playing Cyrex, no matter how popular that character is. It's just when it's come to like trying other characters outside of just your main favorite character in the franchise, outside of like competitive gameplay wise, if you're branching out, you're likely not going to go for the one, like if you're just choosing from an even playing field and you're completely wanting to try something new, you're probably going to go for somebody that's less used, especially if you know some, like, for instance, if I'm looking for a new character and I know Temp plays Smoke a lot, for instance, or just, what's another one? Sindel. I'm not going to choose either of those because I just want to do somebody different. I don't know. It's weird to explain like that. Like, that's why I went with Kenshi, because none of you play Kenshi. And also, I really like Kenshi, but that's my point, though, is it's cool, and it's cool to see character variety. If we all picked the same people because we all enjoyed those people, I feel like that'd get boring.
That's why I started playing Rain. No one really touched him. I mean, he had tournament players. People did take Rain to tournaments. Like CT Jr. used Rain for a while before he finally landed on Jax. But I mean, right, in terms of like, I don't know, just overall competitors, not a lot of Rain players out there. It made me want to use the character, basically.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm totally with you. That's exactly how I feel. Is if I see one, like I said, if I'm choosing even playing field and one character is used by 100 people and another character is used by like 10 people, I'm more likely to gravitate towards the 10 people and try and really get into that character. But like I said, that's me. But I totally agree that you should just choose whoever you want, regardless. But that's my thing, is that's how I feel.
Not just choose whoever you want, choose who works for you in your playstyle.
Right.
I've said it a million times.
Definitely.
I am angry that Smoke is not my best character in MK9, and I want it to be so much, but Sector just suits me so very much more.
Same with me and Cyrex, man. Cyrex is not my best character. Casually wise, if I wasn't doing combos all the time, I do really good with Cyrex when I'm not facing like a competitive player. Cyrex is probably my best character, but when it comes to actually doing combos successfully and standing a chance competitively, it's Lou all day, and that's just that. And that's not my choice. He's not in my top 5 favorite characters of all times, but he's somebody I generally play in most Mortal Kombats. But yes, I mean, it is what it is. I wish it would be somebody else that I was the best with, but I feel your pain.
C'est la vie.
Sometimes it just doesn't fit your playstyle. Sometimes another character is just more like they just fit. You know when you pick up a character and it just feels right. That's why I was super happy in like the new Smash Brothers. Mega Man is the character I wanted to play most, and he happened to actually be a character that I thought I did best with. So sometimes it just works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
You know what was really weird for me in 9? Reptile. Total rushdown, just like really being ultra aggressive and chasing after the guy. And I had so many years of Ultimate MK3, learning to like bait people with like bombs and just keeping away and really timing my dashes because it was so punishable.
Right.
And just 9 required me to play him so differently. And it's not that he was bad; he was amazing. I liked how he played, but I couldn't get my head around. I couldn't wrap my head around playing Reptile the way that Reptile should have been played in 9.
Yeah.
Odd things.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think that's the worst feeling is when you're really digging a character, like in trailers and whatnot, and you're just super excited to play them, and then when you get your hands on them, you just can't seem to, like you said, wrap your head around them. I think that's the worst thing is when you that's I've said it several times. That's how Kung Lao has always been for me throughout the entire series. MK9 I did okay with him. Razor was doing really well with him online, but he's just one of those characters that I like his look. I like the hat as a gimmick. I think that's a really cool like trademark, and I like his gameplay, just everything that he has at his disposal. But for some reason in previous games I could just never really understand how to piece anything together. So those characters do exist, I'm sure, for everybody that they're like, I really dig that character, but they're just not for me for some reason. That's why MKX is always, the next Mortal Kombat game is always a new page because they could always be more akin to your playstyle, especially with variations,
Yeah, we've
I was
got
gonna say that.
3 different chances to take on a character that we like or want to use.
Right,
That's
exactly.
It's wonderful.
It's like they even I rewatched the first stream and they were talking about Sub-Zero as that prime example. Is Sub-Zero's always been kind of a slower, more methodical player, and he does heavier damage, but he's a lot slower than some characters. He's about medium speed, but now in MKX he'll have a variation that's quicker if that's more your thing. So definitely, and he has a defensive variation. So it definitely fits to a lot more playstyles. So I think that's what excites me most about variations is it gives you more of a beyond just the character matchups and the variety they offer, but just it gives people more of a chance to get a version of that character that fits them, that's awesome.
I always wanted to play a really, really aggressive Sub-Zero, and I think you only ever really got to do that all of maybe once. Like early versions of MK3, like before, like a little bit after the time when he was ridiculously broken, but before they toned him down a little bit in Ultimate. Like I'm talking late MK3, not quite UMK3 yet, because you could like just run in and like use ice clones as offensively as you'd like and put on so much pressure on the guy. That's the Sub-Zero that I really miss playing, and it's kind of the reason why I gravitated away from him for so long. And no, if you give me an offensive Sub-Zero, I think I'm definitely going to be down for that.
I hope that's what this is. I hope Cryomancer is the offensive Sub-Zero I've always wanted.
Damn straight.
Yeah, it looks like it, because Cryomancer's the offensive one, then there's the one where is it Grandmaster, or I'm not sure which one's which, but
Cryomancer is ice weapons, Grandmaster is clones.
Okay. Which one's the ice parry in?
That's Unbreakable.
Okay, Unbreakable, yeah. That Unbreakable is the defensive one. So Cryomancer would be offensive, and then you have Grandmaster with clones, so that's probably more trap based. So definitely. All right. Well, that was good discussion. Let's move on to the Rain retrospective. So who wants to start it? I'm curious to see what Temp has to say about Rain. So go ahead, Temp. Why don't you start us off, sir?
Okay, with Rain, I've always had kind of an affinity for the character. I don't love him, he's not my favorite, but as the Purple Ninja, I always thought he was completely sufficient. I kind of like the idea that he's the son of Argus, right? His name's Argus? Yeah. Okay, cool. Argus. Yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought that was a good way to tie him into the Armageddon storyline. I think he's never had a bad design. I thought even in UMK, even in Trilogy, I thought he looked good. That's a good shade of purple. I loved his Armageddon look. I loved his Armageddon alt costume. I loved his MK9 appearance. I thought all of them were very, very well done. And he's not terribly relevant. And he's a little awkward in the story now, but even in the story, I like the idea that he works with Reiko. I think that that's an interesting relationship right there, which is why I'm hoping Rain's not done yet. It sounds like he's not done yet, but I would like to see that developed. I'd like to see him interact with the new villains. I think that could be a lot of fun. And he's just a good gameplay design, in my opinion, He's got, really cool juggle options. I think his combos are some of the most fun in the game. They're a little awkward, but they're fun. People rip on him because his zoning is so bad. A lot of people have called Rain the worst character in Mortal Kombat 9. Now, obviously, I think even they know that's an exaggeration, but who said it? God, what's his fucking name? I can't remember his name anymore. He's a Sector player. But he said, your character sucks when they get outzoned by Johnny Cage. And although that's a funny, mostly true statement, there's more to Rain than zoning. Rain could be really good. I mean, he's bottom 10 for sure. He's not a great character. But he's close, though. You wouldn't have to give him much. All he would need is, I think, reduce the frame animations on 4.3. Right now it's at neutral, which means it's at 0. He's not an advantage, your opponent's not an advantage. But the problem is, if you want to pressure with that, if you want to do 4.3-4.3, there's so much frame animation going on. Yes, you're at neutral, but you can react to it if he doesn't commit to the combos. So it's like, what's the point? There's no mix-up. I'm not going to do 4.3 armored roundhouse, so they need to fix that. Also, roundhouse, it needs to hit crouching opponents. It's already semi-safe. It's at -3, I think. But and the only reason I know all of this is because I just started learning Rain and went over the frame data. But given the spacing, -3 is not too bad. You can't really counter-poke him after that. So he doesn't need much. His damage is good. I think he has the best meterless damage in the game. He's pretty effective once he gets going. Just, he can't control space too well, but I think he's almost there. I think he's got a great anti-air. His footsie game's not bad. The EX Lightning is safe on block. It's assuming they're not jumping. But if you're playing a tournament player, they shouldn't be jumping all the time anyway. So from a gameplay perspective, I think he's very interesting and very fun. I think the variation system would be really cool with this character. I think if I could just pressure a little better with him, he'd be a little more interesting. Because with characters, so many of the good characters in MK9 have low hitboxes. So that 1-2, you can't really pressure well with that unless you do a jump in or a cross up, But gameplay aside, I'm okay with Rain. I think he does have a lot of fans. It's just that because he's such a polarizing character, the people who love him are very vocal, and the people who hate him are they exaggerate that hatred so much because there's a lot of reactionary feelings towards the character. I don't want to see him gone yet. I think there is room for Rain. I think Razor was mentioning in the chat that it would be weird putting him in the story given, the circumstances with MK9. Did you say, is that true, Razor? Did I just make that up? I can't remember what you said exactly.
Maybe?
Something like that. Okay, I remember. I remember you said that with what happened between him and Kodal, it was a good way to maybe resolve Rain's story given the new timeline. Was it something like that sound familiar?
Maybe. I mean, I'll get into it when it's my turn to talk, but...
Gotcha.
I'm not sure what you do with him story-wise after Trilogy.
Yeah, okay, I think that does ring a bell, but I think Rain is good villain material. I think he's one of the few ninjas, especially now that Reptile's all chilling with Kotal Khan. I think he's one of the few ambiguously evil ninjas, just horrible. I can't think of an... Noob Saibot, of course.
His defining personality traits are being just a selfish, self-absorbed dick.
Yeah.
He's
sort of
like a vain version of Bihan.
Yeah, and vanity, I guess, is the key. Just that Noob is evil, but Noob isn't self-entitled. Yeah, exactly. And I like Vega, too. I obviously know Shadaloo loves Vega as well, so that's...
Represent.
Indeed. So, yeah, just to sum it up, I like Rain. I think if they ever re-release MK9 and patch the game, where all they do is nerf the top 5, buff the bottom 10, Rain could be so cool. He could be so much fun to play with. And one reason I also have a soft spot for Rain is because his fans waited 10 years for him to come back. When he came back in Armageddon. So that's gotta sting. I get why they have this emotional knee-jerk to the comic. I empathize, I mean, 10 years is a long time to wait, so I can see why they can be on the emotional side of things. But yeah, I mean, I don't love him. He's not my favorite character. He's probably not in my top 20, but I like him enough. I'm not done with Rain. I would like to see more Rain in the future. And as for favorite costume, I'm going to say Armageddon. Even though it looks like he's wearing a Persian rug, I still think Armageddon looked really good. I thought the hair looked tight. But he always looked good to me. I don't think he has a bad costume. And I give him a lot of points for that. I mean, which character I choose to use has a lot to do with appearance and story, but more appearance, I think, even than story, which is one reason why I don't see myself using, say, Cassie. So, favorite fatality? Fuck, I don't know. I might pick the trilogy uppercut. I'm not decided on this. I like ridiculous things. When something makes me laugh, I tend to value it. I like silliness when it's done in the right context. And when I'm taken by surprise, when I first saw that fatality, I didn't see that coming. I was like, what the fuck? And even at the time I knew it was dumb, it was completely and utterly ridiculous, I kept doing it. And I don't know, when a fatality is ridiculous enough, it's almost a taunt. And I like that. But the more reasonable side of me is going to pick his second fatality in MK9. I really like the idea that he breaks your legs with a water bubble. And I like just how regal it is, you know? Like, I'm a fucking prince, and I'm executing now. I'm executing you now, so this is happening. Bam. The top half of your head is gone. I think there's just a lot of charisma to that. And yeah, that's all I got.
Razor, you or me next? Razor? All right.
I'll go.
Shoot.
I like Rain. The thing about Rain that always sort of comes to mind for me is, and this is because, you know, I'm so old school, and most of my memories of any trilogy character are from, like, before the 3D era. I always think of his episode of Defenders of the Realm, because it's like, I always say it's one of the 2 episodes of the show that doesn't suck. And the plot of the episode basically revolved around Liu Kang and Kitana's relationship, and the complication of Rain is introduced as this guy who Kitana was at one point engaged to be married to, except now he's like a traitor for Shao Kahn. And it was good drama for the show. I don't think it would work in the lore of the games, but it does sort of raise like an interesting question of like what is Kitana's relationship to other Edenians in Khan's army, like, because I mean she's got her friendship with Jade, but Rain's the guy who betrayed his own people, like turned against the resistance to join Khan. And it's like, so here's Kitana, who in the old timeline was pretending to be loyal while really knowing the truth, and she's got to work alongside this guy all the time. And I think it would have been interesting to see like some sort of cutscenes if he had been in MK9, where he's like maybe attracted to her or hitting on her, like, because he sees himself as a prince in his head and she's the princess, and maybe he wants to get like into Khan's daughter's good graces and become a member of the royalty and marry her or something like that. And she's all like, she wants him to fuck off because he's a traitor, but she can't reveal that she knows the truth, so she's got to kind of put up with the guy. And I don't know, that's just what I would have done if I were writing it. Obviously, he's not in story mode at all. He doesn't even talk because he's DLC. Because Quan Chi got to be in the game instead of him. I'm not bitter.
Like I need another reason not to like Quan Chi.
Yeah, no. But yeah. So Rain is... I think of Rain in the same mental breath I think of all the 3D characters. Unrealized potential. You know, he's just one step ahead of Kai and Bo Raicho and Frost and all those, because he's a ninja and he got to be in a game sooner than they did. And but he's really just the same as them. So I don't know. I mean, I liked his Armageddon look. I thought, the cape and the ponytail were a nice look for him. I think I do prefer the MK9 outfit a little bit better, though. My favorite fatality is his first one from MK9, the Kiss of Death-esque one, where he fills them with water and they explode.
You would.
Yeah, you guys, I like the goofy, the Kiss of Death style fatalities. I don't know why you guys don't like them as much as I do. Yeah, I guess that's where I stand on Rain.
All right. So, Rain to me is kind of actually the quintessential example of how you take a shit character and slowly, over the course of time, given enough chances, make them into something special. If not amazing, then special and worth the time and effort investment. So, you go back to UMK3, and what is he? He's a joke character stuffed in the attract mode, and it's like, okay, he's a Prince reference. Cute. And this is at a time, and I've always been against new ninjas for this very reason. This is at a time where the series is being mocked for having a cast of characters that's like 40% ninjas or something, or variations of ninjas. You got like ads making fun of them, like, hey, it's a brick or the brick ninja. And this is what Rain exemplified to me for the longest fucking time. He was that one ninja too many. Until Tremor came along and proved me even wronger. But I digress. Let's jump ahead a little bit. So, after that, he shows up in Trilogy in the home version of CMK3, and doesn't have any original animation frames of his own, of course. Has the stupidest fatality or one of them in all of MK history. The little upside-down uppercut thing of his, and he's got an infinite combo where he can roundhouse, walk forward, high punch, roundhouse, walk forward, high punch. Him and Noobside Bot were fucking broken in that game.
It's so Trilogy. Great. I love that combo so much.
It was so wrong. There's a gif of there's a full gif out there of Rain just punching and roundhousing an entire health bar down, and it makes me so sad. So, you see that, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever. And you get his ending, hey, your dad was a general, and Shao Kahn killed him. What? Rain was never seen again. And I promptly forgot about him. And then Annihilation comes along. Rain, this will never happen again. And then you're dead. So, Rain just for years was like, to me, this living joke, like that one ninja too many who has an inordinate amount of fans because he's a ninja and has not really actually done much of anything to deserve it. Even at that point, I'm like, his moves are like Radiant Light. Maybe I'm thinking at that point, if they improved an emphasis on water or something, maybe take away that lightning ability a little bit, or I don't know, because at that point, Raiden had the lightning, Nightwolf brought down the lightning, now Raiden's bringing down. He just seems so derivative to me. So there's that. I remember a little bit that he got some focus on Conquest, the live-action series, and that made me like him a little bit. I was still kind of, I can do without this guy. But it gave him some exposure. So we flash back a little bit, flash forward a little bit more to, like, Deception, and, like, his appearance in that game in Conquest is like Jade playing a cruel trick on him, leaving him unconscious in an alley, pretty much. That's about it. And I'm like, this guy is just, why do people want this back? He's a joke. He remained a joke to me for the longest time, and I was one of those really vocal fuck Rain guys. I hated him. Armageddon, out of all things, is where I started seeing him in a different light. Because they start like emphasizing his background with Argus. It's not a general anymore. It's it's one of the fucking gods of Edenia here, and I'm like, huh. So he's got kind of like a Prince of Thieves look going on, and he actually has legitimate reasons for being pissed off at his family. So that's that point. I'm like, okay, he's getting better, and they put a bit more emphasis on his moves, like gave him like that little hydro press thing, that like water cannon. I'm like, all right, you're starting to make him into something slightly special. Show me what else you can do. And it goes without saying again, at this point, I really, really like Rain's Armageddon design. Before we even get to like that question of like what my favorite everything is, it's Armageddon. Like that whole Prince of Thieves look thing with two daggers and like hell, they even like gave him like a sword in Armageddon, I think if I remember right. And yeah, that was it. It was a sword. And it's a great looking sword. And I just loved coming across him and just having that little cameo. And it's a shame, again, he wasn't part of the main roster, but for the first time, I wasn't completely dismissive of him. So finally, MK9 comes along and he squeezes in his DLC. And now's the time when I'm thinking it is a fucking shame that he's actually not part of the main roster. Because again, they like built up his background, you know, finding him as a very young boy, and he's still an asshole. He's still like the galaxy's biggest troll, pretty much, apart from Quan Chi himself. And amazingly, they've brought back that focus on like his juggle combos, except not as retarded as it was back in Trilogy and UMK3. They slowly, over time, picked apart all the most memorable aspects of the character, built on them, and basically created what was best for him, the best Rain he could possibly have been. And I have to sit there and applaud for this. Rain went from being a character I abhorred to someone I actually have a vested interest in wanting to see come back in the future. What he does need now is a main roster spot, and I would love nothing more than to see that happen. I'm still against new ninjas in any way, shape, or form, but again, Rain is proof. Given enough chances, you can do almost anyone right, to me. Your favorite fatality? Easily the one where he just snaps her knees from MK9 and then just cuts her head off with a water blade. Gotta love it.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
All right.
That's it.
For Rain, for me, I think I like him the least out of all of us. It's not like I hate him. He's just always been one of those characters I've just been indifferent on. Like, I've never paid really that much attention. I think I liked him most in MK Trilogy. I really like, or even, wasn't he in the Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 Sega
The
edition?
SNES,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, he was.
The consoles.
Okay. Right, there you go. That's what I was thinking. Because I remember back in the day, I liked his gameplay. I loved the ball that he shoots out that later became the water ball, but I love that little thing where you can control where the opponent goes. I thought that was really neat. I loved his roundhouse kick, and I did like the lightning. But as Shadaloo pointed out, his roundhouse kick and the ball where you control him was unique to him, but the lightning was kind of odd. But I still thought it looked cool, and I liked the idea behind it. I also like the idea. I also like the color purple. I do like the ninja characters. I like all of them to a degree. And I think once they all got redesigned, I liked them even more for their own individual, unique qualities about them that got really good, especially come MK9. I thought they're just making them better and better each time, in my opinion. So yes, in that aspect, Rain kind of has gotten the shitty end of the stick, because he's the one MK ninja that's really never gotten his fair shake on a unique game roster. But that's kind of where also, for me, I just never had that time to really become a fan, because he hasn't gotten that main. Because I look back at Armageddon and I either played as a created character or I played as my favorite characters, or just random characters for shits and giggles. I rarely ever played I didn't choose Rain just so I could play Rain, because at that point I just didn't. In a 3D environment, I just didn't care for his specials as much. I honestly liked his MK Trilogy or Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 play better. So yeah, he's just, for me, when I look at Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Noob Saibot, Smoke, Ermac especially, and then you have Rain, he falls at the... I mean, he's definitely ahead of both Chameleons, and he's definitely ahead of Tremor, if we're even going to count Tremor at this point. But beyond that, he's still last place for me, and it sucks, because I agree that every character should deserve a chance, and I agree with Razor in that the only real difference between him and the 3D era characters is he just got introduced first. But in a lot of ways, he's been neglected, and also my biggest hangup is he's only been in trilogy era, or like he's only been in the trilogy games each, and that makes it tough for me to really like or get behind the character, just because when I have every character at my disposal, I'm gonna likely stick to the ones I actually enjoy. I'm rarely ever gonna give him a chance, because rather than being in a 24-person roster, he's always been in huge ass rosters, especially in Armageddon's case, and that's it. And then when he came in DLC for MK9, I like some of the changes they made, but also some of them were kind of odd. While the water ball makes a lot more sense to control where your opponent goes, and I definitely like the way it's done, I just, for some reason, I like the old way. The style of the ball, the sound effect, and everything. Maybe it's nostalgia talking, but I just like the way that worked. It didn't make much sense how it worked then, but the idea of surrounding your opponent in water and like carrying them like as if they're in like an actual like a mime and stuck in a box type of thing, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me. The little water blast thing was oddly done in MK9, and all that's nitpicking. I don't hate the character. I definitely think MK9, I like the design they made for him, even though I think it's the weakest of all the ninja redesigns. I do like the design in MK9. So I don't know, it's just, I think Razor said it best in terms of untapped potential, in that even though I'm indifferent on Rain, would I like to see him get a main roster spot? Of course. I'd like to see any character that has that kind of potential, your Frosts, your Ashras, your Nataras and Havocs, etc., Fujin especially, of course, Raiko. Any character that really should be given a redesign, especially in these 2D era games now again that we've gone back, and especially in the ginormous increase in quality that they're putting into their character designs these days. I would love to see any character that has that potential and hasn't gotten their fair shake. I'd love to see him redesigned for one of these games, but also get that story presence that I feel is so lacking for Rain. And I think that's part of it, is because part of me to really get behind the characters, I need to get into their personality. I need to see what they do in story, and I really need to get behind them as an evil character, as a good character. It doesn't matter. I just need to really like what they're doing. And with Rain, he's just always been, in the shadows for the most part. The stuff he does doesn't really matter. Not many, things he does have long-term consequences or huge ties other than his Edenia ties. He just doesn't, I don't know, it's just weird. He's just non-existent to me in a lot of ways. What Shadowloo said is how I felt, even still feel, that he's just this non-important character. He's the least important ninja of the main ninjas, and for that reason alone, it just makes it hard for me to really get behind this character. So, if he got this comic book, this is what I need to see from him, and that's why I think the comics can be great potential for some of these characters, even if they don't make it into MKX, is because they finally get that story relevance. Rain now is, spoiler alert of chapter whatever, chapter 7, I think this happened, but Rain is now responsible for Kotal Khan's dad's death, obviously with Goro's help, or he helped Goro, whichever way you want to look at it. He played a huge factor in that, and that's the kind of stuff that I really, that's the kind of stuff I get behind, and not until now has he really had that for me, that effect on me, where I'm like, wow, he actually did something for once, and he played a part, he played his role. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, the best way I can describe it is indifferent. I don't hate him. I don't think he's the worst character by any means. I don't think he's great. See, I'd love to, rank every character from, that's ever existed in Mortal Kombat as a playable character and see where he falls, because it's kind of tough to think where he would fall for me unless I actually, take the time and set aside the time to map it out on who's where. But I don't know if he's in my top 30. I think maybe 35, 40. I definitely put him over a lot of the 3D era characters that I don't feel have potential or that I don't want to see come. He's definitely above them in that sense, but I still just, I don't know. There's a lot left to be desired with Rain, and I would not be unhappy to see him take up a character spot at some point. I think, if anything, he deserves it just because he does have that fan base. But until he does, he has more story presence and that, shining moment, and he's given a lot more attention and isn't treated like the joke character. Until he's not, treated like that, it's hard for me to really get behind him myself. I do like the redesign. So, with that being said, MK9 is my favorite attire for him. And favorite fatality would be Mortal Kombat Trilogy, him lightning striking the character over and over again until they explode. Even though the exploding is ridiculous in the brutality fashion, I still like the idea of him continually striking them with lightning, just because for as many Raiden fatalities as we see, I don't know if there's ever been one where he's just using lightning strikes from the sky. I think Nightwolf has that?
None. He never does.
Yeah.
Nightwolf would call lightning to his hatchet and then
Right. Okay.
like a lightning rod and then shoot it out.
So
Raiden has never called it from the sky on a guy.
So yeah, that's odd to me, but I think with Rain it definitely looked cool, so that would be my favorite fatality of his, just because I don't know, it totally fits. I mean, but yeah, that's really my thoughts on Rain. So yeah, I feel like we have a really good range there that we all just did.
What's actually really funny, I think about this now, and like, you look at Rain, and I can't help but feel sorry for him, and in a sense, people like Baraka and Shiva. Because Rain is that grunt character with all the potential in the world that you want people like Baraka to be able to have, that have a purpose apart from being told to go fetch, go kill, go stab. Rain has places he can be and things to do, and they won't give him the room or the time to explore them.
Right, and like that's essentially what is still makes me indifferent on him, is because he's been given a story, he has a bio, he has a backstory, but in terms of like current here and now, what has he done that's actually impacted the story, the overall story, or other characters around him, is he turns his back on Adenia and he's an asshole. But I mean, that's just not enough for me. I want to see him interact with more characters than just, your Katana or your Jade. I want to see, in much ways that people are tired of seeing Kano, just surrounded with Sonya all the damn time. It's like, for me, Rain never got that.
He has no screen time.
Right.
He's only a character in the most theoretical sense.
Right, exactly.
And considering his ties
that's
with
why
Argus,
I loved him in so much with the 3D guys, because that's the same problem they have.
Right, exactly.
And I also feel like, and like I said I was going to get to it when I talked about him, and I forgot to, so I'll do it now. My feeling about Rain, where it's like, what good is he after Trilogy? What do you do with him now? I've sort of described this problem in the context of Lee May before, where it's like her story is such a specific thing, where she can only be there if her village is attacked, and she's only interesting if her soul gets put in the mummy. Otherwise, she's just girl Liu Kang. And Rain's sort of the same way, because his story is so tied into either Edenia or Argus, Taven, and Dagon. If you're not doing anything with them, then what else does he have? Well, in Trilogy, he had being a member of Khan's army, but in MK9, they didn't put him in the fucking story mode. So we didn't get to see any of his interactions with any of his fellow members of the army, or any of the, his EarthRealm opponents. And now that's, you missed the boat on that. So it's like, what the hell do you do with him now?
It is a shame.
You could have him and Tanya try to bring back Edenia, but is there a place for that in the story they're telling this year? I don't think there will be. And that's why I don't expect to see Tanya. Or, because I mean, she's one of those MK4 characters that people like, and they're so sure she's going to be on there. Like, we're so sure of Shinnok and Fujin. Tanya's usually the next name on the list, and I keep saying, no, I don't think there's room for Tanya in this game. And that's sort of how I feel about Rain.
I think his
We had to
time
put a
was
number.
Armageddon. His time was Armageddon, and it's sad because here's your solution to Armageddon right there. Just have Rain slip a dagger into Blaze's back. End this whole thing for no other reason than to fuck with his brother's shit.
Yeah, that would solve it. Take the third option.
Maybe someday.
Right now, his shining moment is kind of annihilation if you think about it. And that's a
Really?
shame.
And that's what contributed so much to me seeing him as a joke for the longest time. A, you're a purple ninja. How stupid is that? B, you get killed, and then when Baraka gets killed, they reuse your death footage.
Yeah,
we
you
forgot
die
about
twice. That's his shining
Jesus.
moment is dying after he's already dead.
Yeah.
You star in Conquest by being like passed out in an alley after Jade kicks your ass. I'm not kidding when I say I saw him as a joke character for the longest time.
If we had to put a number to it, what percentage, in terms of odds, do you think Rain has a chance in MKX? What are the odds of Rain coming back, percentage-wise? I'm going to say 20%. I think he has a 20% chance of coming back.
20% sounds right to me.
I'd say slightly
0,
less.
but 50 as a cameo.
I'd say slightly less, and the only chance I see him having is, one, we know he's not going to be DLC because Ed said he's not going to have the same DLC characters twice because he doesn't think you should have to pay for the same thing twice. And so there's, it's either main roster or bust. So that lessens his chance of being in the game, but more, higher chance of actually being on the main roster. But with that being said, other than, potentially playing a role in story mode as, teaming with Raiko and Melina, unless they feel that warrants an actual playable roster spot over like other 3D characters that could probably use it more than Rain right now, especially during all this, era of where they're going. So I honestly just don't see him being in. So I'd say 10%. I really don't see it any higher than that.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Oh, there's a chance for sure. There's always a chance. I
I find it interesting. We actually haven't talked about this. They describe him as a Melina loyalist in the comic. A loyalist. He believes that she has every right to be up there.
Yeah.
Probably about. It probably hits home for him.
I'm inclined to
lineage.
think the only reason he's on Melina's side is because you've got to be kind of a nice guy to hang with Kotal.
Wouldn't take him. Too much of a dick.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. You're an entitled Exodanian prince. Yes. I'd like to be your commanding general. There's the desert. Walk into it. Keep walking.
It's a logical conclusion. When I think of Rain's personality, I kind of think of Joe Pesci from Goodfellas. That's sort of what I see, kind of the sort of like sensitive but kind of dickish. I don't know, that's the first thing that comes to mind, but I don't know. I mean, just on another note, I think he had the best win pose in MK9. Thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Kotal is
I love
a
the
man
way
of
they brought the UMK3 thing back.
I just want to say that Kotal is a man of the people. As far as Rain is concerned,
that's the
Rain
thing, like,
Rain is the people. As far as Rain is concerned.
Yeah, it's like Kotal was probably going to each guy and he's all like, "So what do you fight for?" And Reptile's like, "I fight to restore my species." And Devora's all like, "This one fights for her species." And Rain's all like, "I fight for me. I want gold and jewels and to be in charge. Do you need a general? Because I'm good at being a general." Like, get the fuck out of here.
Why didn't you
Give him
come
like
to
this
my
Johnny
meeting
Football
room?
voice.
Why did I have to come to your quarters? You're still lying on the bed eating Cheetos. Fuck you.
Had a troll face in his vignette. That smile.
Oh god, that was the moment where I knew Rain was going to be perfect in MK9. That face. I might make that into my avatar on some site.
Do it.
Picture of that.
All right, well, let's wrap this up here. And that'll do it for the Rain retrospective, and that'll do it for this episode. So thanks for listening, everybody. subscribe if you haven't. And once again, I want to thank the Combat Tether, TRMK, and Test Your Might, of course, for their support. And so check those guys out if you haven't by now. I'd assume you all have. And yeah, we'll catch you next time with episode 20, where we'll be discussing everything that happens on the stream, in case that wasn't obvious.
Brutalities.
All right, well, have a good one, guys. Adios.
Take it easy.
Later.
Outstanding.